All right, well, thank you. We're gonna call together our special meeting tonight. Thank you for being here. So this is a special meeting for planning commission and youth. Thank Courtney, thanks for being brave and going first. You know all about the role. And thank you for your service in the planning commission. Do we need to do roll call before?
I would do roll call, if you don't mind me.
Jumping ahead of myself, so.
Sure.
Myra.
So Councilor Source is on his way, Councilor here, Councilor Walker. It's not, haven't heard, Mayor Schwarzler,
Here.
Councilor Martin Willis,
Here.
Councilor Morton,
Here.
Councilor Moore.
Here. All right, thank you. So as you know, you're well familiar with the role of the planning commission. And again, thank you so much for all your service in being the chair. And I know it's not always easy, some of the decisions. As you know, we've worked the way that we appoint people to boards. And so thank you for coming in for an interview. And we are going to be taking turns just asking questions, and we will start shutting down with you if you don't mind. And sure.
Okay, first question. We'd like to start by hearing a little bit about your connection to independence.
Well, I came up from Corvallis in 1975 to go to OCE, Oregon College of Education. And I went to school there for 3 years, met my wife. We got married in 1978 and moved over to Randall, or Picture Street. Suburb 1978, and we since then moved in 1982 to Randall Way. And we've been here since then. Almost 50 years.
Well, first of all, I'm amazed that you've served as long as you have on the planning commission. And I say that from the position of being a 25-year counselor. You are amazing. You are persistent and you are very thorough. And with that in mind, what interests you about serving even more on the planning commission? And are there particular strengths, experiences, or perspectives that you feel would be helpful in this role?
I just want to continue to serve the community. I mean, it's been fun. It's been tough at times. We had kind of a tough meeting this last meeting, well, actually the time before, and it wasn't quite so bad this last time. But no, it's only once a month. If I feel like I can serve the community in that role and volunteer my time. And we have a great planning commission. I understand we have one opening that they're interviewing tonight too. So I look forward to coming back and having a full commission. Yeah, I just like my time. I've been with Councilor Martin Willis and Mayor Schwarzler was on, and Evan or Commissioner Source. So I kind of feel a tie to the city council with who's moved on from planning commission. So I have no interest in moving anything further politically.
Oh, yeah.
No, planning commission is just fine. I could. How many people look at me and they'll talk and we still have tough decisions sometimes that never had anybody playing and screaming, and throw eggs at my house. Hopefully you folks haven't either. No, I watch the meetings sometimes, yeah.
Your service is very appreciated, thank you.
Well, it's been fun, and it's kind of strange how it all happened. Sonny Montgomery used to manage the Les Schwab, knocked on my door about 9 o'clock one night, and he must have just been elected to city council. And an apartment complex on E Street, the neighborhood over from us, had been constructed, and it was Sonny's theory that it was constructed illegally, maybe, I don't know. And he goes, and since I just got elected to city council, you're on planning commission. And I go, okay, what do? Just show up first Monday of the month, just go down to City Hall, go to City Hall. First Monday, I can't remember, must have been December, maybe January. And no interview with the mayor or city manager or anybody from city council. Sat down in a chair, and Terry Richards was the chairman at the time. Said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. It was just sit here and you'll learn fast.
Now you have an absolute wealth of understanding.
Yeah.
And that's appreciated too.
Okay, well, thank you.
See, and thank you for the amazing segue that you have provided. Because as you're well aware, part of this work involves applying the municipal code as it is written. Even when opinions in the community differ. How comfortable are you making decisions based on established criteria rather than personal?
I have no problems with that at all, and Fred has been wonderful with everything he's done, and he definitely helps all of us on the planning commission see what we need to do. And there's disagreements within the members of the planning commission, but we always seem to work through it and have a vote and just move on to the next issue.
All right, next question, thanks Corby. Community members often bring passionate and diverse perspectives. How do you approach situations where residents strongly support a position that differs from your own? Or where maybe a different direction may better serve the long time purpose of things?
I'm always open to listening and trying to do the right thing and help the community member. And that's kind of what happened in the last two meetings. You'll hear about that next month, and we're willing, everybody in the planning commission is willing to listen. Try to see both sides of the story, but then again, we know there's procedures within the city and codes that we have to follow. And this is the last question, I have no problem following exactly what we need to do.
You lost your mic.
Yeah, we lost his mic.
Oh,
Oh, I'm hearing you.
so it's like in red.
Got more battery.
Oh, battery.
It would be nice if they gave it a warning.
Oh, don't keep me like a smoke signal.
No. So mine is well prepared.
Those divine intervention.
Right. I just got
What's up?
Exit.
Get another hat for mine.
More high tech or Western.
That's right.
All right,
That's not a problem.
all right, green.
Oh, there we go. That's better.
All right, thank you, Corby. Actually. You wanna take this one and then we'll let Evan.
I apologize.
Again, like everybody has said so far, thank you for all you've done to support the community. I think it's great how many years you've been here and the history you have in our community. It shows with the effort you put forth in all your planning. The planning commission works to involve thoughtful discussion, sometimes, like you said, disagreement. How do you keep conversations productive and respective, even when opinions differ?
Just try to keep the flow of the meeting going, and one of the things we've had problems with in the past is people want to talk more than their 3 minutes. And at this last meeting, I allowed the conversations to go to 5 minutes. So I made the decision. Fred kind of helped me with that too. And I think that helped the people in the community want to speak, feel more comfortable. And that their voices were being heard, and not being kind of shut down. But and just try to be fair and not judge anybody in any way that I would not want to be judged or treated.
Can you imagine independence 20 years from now? What values, qualities, or outcomes do you feel are most important to you?
Small hometown feel that you still have of a city that was the fourth fastest growing city just a few years ago. And you go to the parade, you see everybody at the parade and fireworks downtown, all the other things that go on throughout the year, or movies and concerts at the park on Friday nights. And just wanted to maintain that small town feel. You ride the trolley to Monmouth, get ice cream, go to the park, my granddaughters will play in the water at the park there, go back down and we'll look at the osprey nest and watch the ospreys and take a walk along the river. Just enjoy a small town feel. And I grew up in Corvallis. And this feels very much like Corvallis for me growing up.
So that's what you want to see in 20 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's gonna be growth, I mean. And I'll be the first one to always comment at our planning commission meetings that we need a light at Seventh Street. And crosswalks installed. And slower traffic on Randall Way. But I still feel that with the growth of the city, those things will come to pass and we'll. Figure out our problems, solve them, and just continue to be a great place to live and grow.
Thanks.
Oh, yes, yeah. Nathan, are you able to meet the time commitment for regular meetings and the preparation needed for each one?
Yes. Usually every year, my wife and I do some traveling, and I try to make sure I let Myra know well in advance when I'll be gone. I think this past year I might have missed 2 meetings. And I know we have one more trip to Europe planned in September, but it's after that meeting, and I try to organize. Family vacations, camping trips, things like that, do not be involved with the first day of, or first Monday of the month. So I have had no problem doing that.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Back over here. Do you have a preference, Colby, for attending meetings in person, virtually, or a combination of both?
I prefer it in person. During COVID time, we would do the Zoom meetings, and it was okay, I mean, obviously, we had to do that because of COVID, but I personally rather be here and have a meeting in person.
Thank you. That concludes our questions. Do you have any questions of us or any other further comments you want to provide?
I just appreciate the work that you folks do. Your job is, I think, a lot tougher than the planning commission job, so. No, I appreciate all the time and effort you folks put in. Yeah. Just appreciate having a great town to live in. And, yeah, just having fun being here.
Well, thank you for being part of that.
Well, you're welcome. It's been fun and enjoyable, and I do have to say thank you, Ken and Fred. It's been remarkable, and
We appreciate your recommendations.
yeah,
We appreciate you hearing a subject more than once, so.
all right, yeah, Fred and I talk sports for me, so try to come around and get the sports in. We'll be. All right, that it then?
That's it. Thank you for being very appreciative.
Thank you very much. Folks, have a wonderful evening. See you.
Thanks, Brooks.
Good night.
Oh,
Me too.
We're wired at that 6:30.
No, that wasn't even it.
I know you're right. For the,
Not, and a truck accident. Great.
oh, goodness. It's foggy night.
I would love to take his excuse, but
Well, I think you live in your body. Yeah.
those are 2 minutes.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Good to be here, thank you.
So we have, just a brief, interview for you tonight. Pretty casual. So just a brief overview, I know you are well in tune with what planning commissions do and what their role is, but we are looking for people to be able to make decisions on land use applications based on adopted criteria and helping to guide our long-term community planning efforts, such as our comprehensive plan, central college plan, and transportation system plan, among others. And then be able to fulfill the expected time code, so. And with that, we will get started with the questions, and we'll start with you this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, welcome, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We'd like to start by hearing a little about yourself and your connection to independence. A little about your connection to independence, not necessarily.
Yeah, my wife and I moved here 3 years ago. Well, I hope this doesn't give anybody offense, but we were both lifelong Portlanders, but we were ready to do something different. And my wife actually has multi-generational roots. The Bueller family, they have a 100-year farm out in Riverfield. Actually, I shared this with Fred, Mr. Evander. When I told my colleagues in urban planning and urban redevelopment, we're moving to Independence, really to a person said, oh, that's such a great city. It really is. You guys have a great reputation. I don't know if you're aware of that, but just great Main Street, the work on the waterfront, really exciting stuff. So we were really drawn to the city. We were kind of selective and we were looking at a few cities in Independence was on the list, kind of nice little craftsman bungalow, fell in love with it, and just about 6 blocks from here. So yeah, that's how we ended up here. Very happy here, getting involved in different things. My wife volunteers at the library, and I may be on the planning commission. I guess we'll find out.
Thank
you.
Well, thank you. You've been here since 2022.
Correct.
Just want to make sure I was subtracting from the right year.
Right.
What interests you about serving on the planning commission? Are there any particular strengths, experiences, or perspectives that would be helpful in this role?
Yeah, I have well, I'm embarrassed to admit, more than 40 years in planning and urban redevelopment. So I have a lot of experience, and it's really my passion since boyhood. I can remember going down to San Francisco and seeing projects like the Ghirardelli Square and the Cannery, which is probably a little bit dated now. I thought, wow, this is so cool to take old buildings like that and help bring an area, in that case North Beach, back to life. So it's really a lifelong passion in cities, and I think in anticipation of this interview, I thought, well, you know, why am I interested in this? I guess a couple of big reasons came to mind. First of all, I really believe in placemaking and making places that are more livable and walkable. So rather than just land and anonymous suburban sprawl, to have cities, towns that are places where there's a mix of uses and people, there's a mix of activities, people get to know their neighbors, maybe people who are different from them, and which I think is healthy for a society. I also think that good urban planning helps a community to thrive, helps people to thrive, and businesses to thrive. And the city that doesn't do those things it can and should do better. And so I hope that whether or not I'm on the planning commission, I hope, especially if I'm on the planning commission, I get help in those goals.
Part of this work involves applying municipal codes as they're written, and even when opinions may differ. And I'd just like to know how comfortable you are with making decisions that are based on criteria rather than personal preferences.
Yeah, I think it's essential. I mean, it's like being a judge. The law is the law. And if the law is a bad law, which that's always a possibility, then okay, it needs to be changed. And you know, if there's something that's really egregious, in my opinion, I through the staff, I urge we need to ask the city council to consider this law, because here's what is practical and what it's been. I think, you know, zoning codes, there's no perfect flawless zoning code. So there's always an opportunity for continuous improvement. Let's take a look every once in a while, whatever, every 5 years. I also believe firmly, boy, this is going to sound like a kiss up to your staff, but it's more important to have someone, a humane person, who is committed to the lawful administration of that code. But also, I mean, I imagine Fred could tell us several examples. You know, here's a couple of code provisions that I'd like to change. So I think it's always important to be open to change. I know that costs money to go through the process to amend the zoning code, so you have to do it every once in a while, not very.
Thank you.
Next question is, community members often bring passionate and diverse perspectives. How do you approach situations where residents strongly support a position that differs from your own, or where you believe a different direction may better serve the long-term interests of?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's the reality. Most of us, all of us have been involved in hearings where that happens. I think laying out the facts, I think also just empathy. I mean, one of my first big projects when I was the staff on the Landmarks Commission in Portland in the 80s, that someone started to tear down these old houses actually the day of the hearing. the neighbors had proposed to get them designated historic properties. So the room was full of over 200 people, including my mom. I think she was on my side, but trying to, let's be level-headed and it'd be my duty, along with my other fellow bank commission members, to remain civil and calm and not feed the flame. And so, yeah, I like the word empathy. So, okay, I understand where you folks are coming from in opposing this project. I share some of your concerns maybe, but here's what the law says, here's the process. If you disagree with us, here's your prerogative to appeal it or to meet with Mr. Evander about changing codes if this never happens again or whatever.
Thank you.
Planning commission work involves thoughtful discussion and sometimes disagreement. How do you keep conversations productive and respectful, even when
You wouldn't fit in.
differ?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe I'll somewhat repeat myself, is to have empathy to realize most of these things, anything involved in zoning disagreements, there are two sides to the story. And so, okay, the law allows this and I actually support the law, and here's why. I can also see here's the downside. I mean, most things in life, certainly with zoning regulations, there's hopefully the good outweighs the bad most times, but I'd be deluding myself if I were rigidly saying this is law and it's good and here's why it's good and not recognize that there's another viewpoint.
Thank you.
These are great questions. Brett, did you like these?
No.
Okay, I have to disclose that I know Mr. Southworth through working with him on the Independence Downtown Association. So I like this question. What do you imagine Independence 20 years from now will look like? What values, qualities, or outcomes do you feel are the most important?
That's also a good question. Why are we here? Yeah, I think that people without vision will perish. I like that scripture. I think if I had to write my vision right now, I'd say it's a place where there's opportunity and planning and zoning doesn't affect everything having to do with people's opportunities to thrive. But are there housing choices? Again, my daughters, none of them seems to be inclined to have a remunerative career, it's an incredibly modest thing. Could they get into home ownership, as an example? Could they start a business here? So do we allow people to have their dreams and to reasonably achieve them? I think also that just the urban form, if you haven't read Jane Jacobs, you have to read Jane Jacobs, or I will refuse to sit on the bank. Right. The Death of My American Cities is just a seminal work, early 60s, I think, and so, well, I could go into that all day, but places that are walkable, accessible. I love the trolley, and I've had the pleasure of talking with Fred about that and how you said that it's about access. So I can get to my job because there's a reasonable, I can't afford a car, but I can get to my job, or I can get the healthcare I need, or I can get my kids to school and I don't have to transfer 3 times. So I think things like that makes it a better community. And then I got to put in pitch too for historic preservation. I was on staff of Irish Commission in Portland, and that's something that's exceptional. I think it's part of your economic future to build on that. We all know places like McMinnville or Ashland that play on that, but it's not just that. I think it's the right thing to do to protect our legacy. It's a real treasure in this city.
This is not a great question, it's a boring, routine question.
Well, then make another one up.
Are you able to meet the time commitment for regular meetings and the preparation needed for each one?
Yes, I think the meetings are Monday twice a month. Or once a month. Wow, but definitely. Yes, it's I realize there's a time, having staff, having been in Fred's position a long time ago. I know that the expectation, you're a volunteer and you have to do your homework for a hearing, which can sometimes be time consuming. Yes, they're very good.
Thank you.
to meet. All right, do you have a preference for attending meetings in person, virtually, or a combination?
I'm an old guy, I really prefer it in person. And I'm happy to do Zoom or whatever. I prefer.
Well, I would like to call myself a young guy and I prefer. So.
I have,
Yeah, awesome, yeah.
can I ask one additional question? Are you related to the Bueller family that taught at Central High School? Is that,
Where?
it's Central High School here locally?
Oh, that, I don't, it's Buhler.
Yeah.
It's probably, I think her family helped found Dallas Retirement Village, and so they're just, there's, you know. Big 10 kid families came over from the Ukrainian Mennonites. It's an incredible story, actually.
Well, those were the prepared questions we had for you. Do you have any questions for us or any other things you'd like to comment on or provide information on?
No, I would say, I would love to do this. And if, I assume you have other candidates, so my feelings will be hurt, and I'll probably come back in a couple years and say, well, is there another opening, but, yeah, I love the independence. I love the people here and. You know, actually, there's one other thing, this is something I spoke to Sean about recently, is I'm concerned about the downtown storefronts. There's several empty ones, and I mean, I love Jubilee and I love the chocolate shop. I'm a very healthy person, I was thinking. So that's something I'd like to see some attention, and I realize it's in fiscal. It's a difficult time to say, hey, let's throw some money at this or that, so, but I'd like to take my experience with that and. Start to work with the IDA.
That's a strange time in the economy.
Yeah,
Yeah, as well. I mean, there's, several things kind of coming together, so.
I will say too, I'm a big believer in the free market, but man, if the city had some program or programs. That were an inducement to not get, I won't say any specific example of type of use, it doesn't really help, but something like Jubilee.
Yeah.
What a shame to lose something like that.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
And
My pleasure.
And then our recess, what else? That's. Council. Going to draw, and so those are your two things. You will discuss this during the council meeting, so, let's move forward.
I just one question before. I don't know these gentlemen. I don't know who is which one. We never asked them their name.
Oh,
So I have no idea.
Corby was the first one, and John was the second.
What was the second one?
John.
Okay, so.
It is interesting.
Well, I guess Corby did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, correct, yeah, we did.
Right. So, Mayor, if we go into recess, I just want to remind council, don't talk about this, don't talk about anything on the agenda, just don't talk about anything other than the weather or something like that, okay? Where it looks like our tech is ready when you are.
Perfect stuff. All right, we're gonna start. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. All right, good. I'm not good. All right, good evening, welcome to City Council. It is Tuesday, January 13th, and we are calling the meeting to order at 6:30. Can we do a roll call, please, ma'am?
Counselor Court. Here. Counselor Morton.
Here.
Counselor Martin Willis.
Here.
Counselor, Mayor Swarsley. Here. Counselor Bover.
Here.
Counselor Roden. Counselor Swartz.
Here.
Thank you. First up, we have our minutes from our last regular meeting, which was about a month ago, about 9. Someone had a chance to review those.
Mayor, I move to approve the regular meeting minutes from December 9th, 2020.
All right, thank you. We have a motion from Councilor Source and a second by Councilor Walbear. Can we roll call, please, ma'am?
Counselor Swartz.
Aye.
Counselor Roden.
Aye.
Counselor Bover.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
On.
Counselor Morton.
Aye.
Counselor Court.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up, we need to elect our council president. I have a nomination. I would like to nominate Councilor Martin Willis.
Second.
I can't make the motion.
Oh, sorry. I thought you made a motion, I'm sorry. It's almost 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, I move to appoint Counselor Martin Willis as council president.
I second that.
We have a motion from Councilor Core, second from Councilor Morton. Any discussion?
Does she agree to this?
I have
Surprise.
to continue carrying.
To continue, yes. Yeah. All right, hearing no discussion, can we get a roll call to this one?
Counselor Court.
Aye.
Counselor Morton.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
Am I allowed to vote on that?
Yes.
No.
Aye.
Counselor Bover.
Aye.
Counselor Roden.
Aye.
Counselor Swartz.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And visitor public comments tonight, we do have one that I know for sure. Chet Graham. Yeah. Please come.
I'm here to just make a comment about the SDCs. We were involved in developing Brandy Meadows, phases 1 through 3. When we started, we developed the last 5 years, we've developed 107 lots. Sold 107 lots, and we sold 93 of those homes in 3 years. When we first started, the SDCs were about 18,000. Then they went to 22, then they went to 28, then they went to 33. And when the last houses that we built, which I've been trying to sell now for the last 2 years, were when it was 33. We managed to move those. We have 2 more left that were actually in the last part of the SDCs. But we built a duplex and multi-generational house. Duplex SDCs were $95,000 for the house, or for the duplex. We have not been able to sell that property as of this date. So it's really important that we stay competitive with our surrounding areas. I appreciate the fact that we're talking about lowering the SDCs, but down to 43 just won't be enough for us to be able to come back and start phase 5 and 6 and continue on. So I would like to put it out there that even though we're going in the right direction, we need to get down at least around in the 32, 28, where I can actually move the property and be competitive. I don't know if you're aware, you did get a letter from the HBA, you all got that, but he's got the different numbers so you can see what I have to be up against. Okay, thank you
so much. Do we have any further comment?
We have 2 for the public hearing.
Yes, further public hearing, yes. We have a very busy agenda tonight, so I'm keeping my mayor's comments very short and sweet, basically happy new year, happy to do that. It's been a bit since we've met, so hence the long agenda. Excited to be starting a new year. That's all I have to say. Moving on to the council liaison reports, first up, we'll hear from Councilor Source from Micah.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. My report, we did not meet in December. I'm trying to pull up my calendar really quick, but I believe the next board meeting is the 28th of January. So that's our next meeting, so I look forward to updating the committee next update after that meeting. All right, thank you.
Thank you, and Councilor Roden for an update on the Parks Board.
Super excited about the Parks Board. I learned when I joined city council years ago that city government work sometimes goes slower than I want it to go, but I'm excited to announce that the draft of the Parks Master Plan is coming forward for everybody to review and study and analyze. I believe it went to Planning Commission last week for them to review, and we will get it in council in March, so I'm excited about that. Some things that came up in the meeting that I think are important to highlight is that and Mr. Fisher said this, if not quoting him, but he's just like, not everything in the plan is written in marble, so things can be changed. We can look at different ideas and place different importance on things, because I know the community, a lot of people in the community want to see a pool being built, and they feel that lives are dependent upon the pool, so that we don't lose any lives to playing in the river. I think that's really good, and people want to hear that there is flexibility in the plan and that we don't necessarily have to have things completed in a certain order. We can put precedence on other things. So I think that's very exciting. I hope people take the time and opportunity to review the plan, and I hope it gets passed, because I'm excited to get some work done on our parks.
And I am assuming there will be a public comment period for people. Yes, great. All right, thank you. And City Manager West, on to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. For the very long meeting, if you are meeting afterwards, I'm gonna cede my time, and we'll talk at the next meeting.
Thank you. First up, we have a public hearing, the revision to mobile vending standards. Brad will hand through. You want me to start out by reading the script?
Yes, please.
All right, bear with me for a minute, it's a bit of a process. This evening, we are reopening the public hearing on LA 2025-05, revisions to the City of Independence's mobile vending standards. The City Council will make a final decision on the proposal based on the complete record, including the testimony received at tonight's public hearing. These proceedings will be recorded. This hearing will be held in accordance with the land use procedures required by the City and State of Oregon. This is a type 4 legislative procedure. At the beginning of the public hearing, staff will present a staff report that identifies the applicable substantive criteria from the city's development code, comprehensive plan, and/or State of Oregon statewide planning plans. For anyone wishing to speak on the proposal, we ask that you use the speaker cards, which we have received some. When called upon to speak, you must state your name and address for the public record. Before we begin, does any councilor wish to declare an actual or a potential conflict of interest in this matter? All right, hearing none, we'll open the hearing on November 25th, 2025. City Council held a public hearing on LA 2025-05 for the purpose of reviewing revisions to the Independence Mobile Vending Standards. The council heard the staff report and took testimony from citizens. At the conclusion of the testimony, the council continued the hearing until tonight and left the record open. This hearing is a continuation of that hearing. I will now open the continued public hearing for LA 2025-05. The date is January 13th, 2026, and the time is 6:39 p.m. May we please have the staff.
Perfect. Yes. Hi there, everybody. My name is Fred Evander. I'm the city planner here at the City of Independence, and I'm happy to present at this continued public hearing on the mobile vending standards. As you will remember from the previous meeting, these mobile vending standards are intended to help our process essentially work better. Over 6 or some years of permitting this type of use, we've realized that we have some limitations as we currently process mobile vending licenses. Among those include the fact that right now, all of our process requires a food truck owner operator to get all of the permits necessary to operate on a particular lot. What that does is it does not include the property owner at all. And so how we envision the process is a property owner will essentially go through a process to get their site approved for a certain mobile vending type of use, and then anybody that wants to come in, a food truck operator, has a much simpler process to then go through to operate on each of those approved sites. The reason that we see that as important is we, through many times of inspecting folks and going out and looking at what is going on sites, is we see we're trying to work with a food truck operator who does not actually control the property and control the ability to make improvements to the property, and we think this just is not the best sort of solution. So we're proposing to break up the process into two separate permits, essentially. One that deals with the site, that works with the property owner, and the other that's specifically for a food truck operator to operate on the site. At the last hearing, the one question that really that ended up getting focused on a lot was whether a limit should be established on the number of food trucks that are allowed in downtown. I had draft language in the previous staff report that says it's right there at the bottom of page 11 of your packet. Limitations on the number of licenses issued for mobile food units in downtown overlay zone. The city shall issue no more than 8 licenses for mobile food units to be located within the downtown overlay zone. But there was question over whether that's the right number, whether a number should be established at all, whether the number should be less. All of that sort of stuff. Some of the things that you heard at the last meeting included the competition that occurs to brick and mortar businesses. If you'll remember, that was one thing that was definitely considered. A lot of times food truck operators can start up and operate at a lower cost than a brick and mortar business. Some of the counter perspectives that we received in a letter from Parallel 45, and we've heard from other businesses include food trucks promote vitality in downtown. They offer space for entrepreneurship. And a lot of times we see these things operating with just a fundamentally different business model than a lot of times brick and mortar restaurants are. All that being said, this is a continuation of that hearing and a continuation, I think, specifically on the question of whether or not to establish a limit on the number of food trucks in downtown, and if so, what that number is. If you do want to set a limit, it's quite easy for us to put that into the draft language that's before you in the packet. Just let us know. I will say we also did get a second comment as well yesterday. That's specifically concerned about existing language in the code there's a concern that it might limit free sales of wristbands for 4th of July. We have very simple language that we could just change. What I would recommend is just applicability instead of mobile vendors conducting business at a community event. We could just simply say mobile vendors conducting business in association with a community event. And I think that addresses the issue. So that's where we're at with this. We understand that we have folks that would like to testify. And so let's go ahead and take their testimony, and then we can talk about where you folks would like to go with this set of standards.
Does anyone have any questions of staff before we take testimony?
Mr. Vander, on Parallel 45's letter, he said they submitted plans to the city to construct the necessary infrastructure. Do you know when they submitted those plans?
Yes, that has been in operation for quite a while. But those plans, I mean, just an idea of how that submittal worked. We got those plans 1 unit by 1 unit, and so it wasn't looking at an entire site. At one time, it was unit by unit, and yes, they are permitted right now for 5 units. They do have a grease trap that all of those units flow into, and yes, we have inspected those units.
Do you happen to know where they're going to put those 5 food carts?
So one is on the west side of the building, it's Cuisinella, in front of the building, and then there's 4 permitted spots that wrap around the back, so, and there's three carts in it right now.
Is that gonna take away any of the parking?
No,
Thank you.
I have a comment also concerning the communication that was received just recently about vendors at local events. By and large, those local events are controlled by some kind of commission or committee. And vendor spaces are sold and limited to what the capacity is on the street. So it becomes a fundraiser for the local organization. And it also makes sure that only the spaces that the organization has delineated will be filled. So if there's ever an impression that it is an outside food truck that says, oh, you're having something today, I'm gonna park down there, that doesn't happen. It's very well under a sheriff's card.
Questions? All right. Moving on to testimony, we wish to hear from everyone who is interested in this proposal. Please limit your comments and questions to 3 minutes in length. And remember to state your name and address for the record. After we hear from you, we will, the councilors will have an opportunity to ask questions of the speaker if needed. And first up, we have Eric Chase.
Hello, Eric Chase from 2015 Independence Highway. My wife and I are owners of Golden Hop Saloon. After look at the letter from Parallel 45, I guess, with him, he's got a certain amount of set food trucks able to go there. So my recommendation would be 6, which will allow him to have 5, still have the 1. And I just feel those food trucks benefit that one business more than the other 10 or 11 businesses that are downtown. So I think we need to look at it as a whole. So he's still getting his that he's gonna fight for, but then the rest of us still are able to get customers as well. Same thing as before, we put too many in, it's just gonna shut the rest of us down. So that's all I have.
Any follow-up questions for
Can we review what our current food truck number is in town? I think it's 6 or 7 now.
so permitted and operational in downtown right now, I think we have 5. There is. And I anticipated Brendan McMullen from Tap Station to be here tonight as well. I did talk to him today. He was hoping to make it. He right now has 1 permitted down there, but there are 2 trucks sitting there. So, and he does have plans. I mean, he does have intentions to have at least that second one operational and potentially more.
So what business would that be connected?
That's Tap Station down there, the old mechanical.
Yes. And how about the one at 7 Star, is that also included?
There is no mobile vendor currently at 7 Star. The mobile vendor that was at 7 Star moved across the street, so he is operational at Tap Station right now.
next speaker, we have Greg Word. Reminder to state your name and address for the record, please.
Greg Word, 240 on the street. Owner one of the owners of Parallel 45. I submitted the letter with majority of my comments and also I'm just here to answer any questions there might be about that or any other follow-ups to that.
Follow-up question, you have 1 in process currently?
Yeah, so we have, and I guess I should clarify, when we submitted our development plans, because we renovated that building started that about 2 years ago, is when we included the hookups for 5 additional, or the 5 locations that we'd have on site. So those require plumbing inspection and electrical inspection to get that work done, so they're already in place. Thinking that that was eventually the way we were going, is we want to have infrastructure in place to support these sorts of carts. So yes, we have 4 of the spots are filled today, and we've been working with a 5th vendor who's starting the process of building out a truck, and we'll go through their permitting process and so on.
Do you anticipate having more than 5 at your property?
Not at our property, no, that's all we've put in the infrastructure. And we launched one of them launched into a brick and mortar business after they started the food truck, so they just moved inside the building.
I appreciate the letter. I think it's very clear. I appreciate you and your partner's investment in our community. And appreciate the different options you be providing to our, as well as the brick and mortar businesses. But that's a unique opportunity for our community. So thank you.
Fred, could you just remind me of, so like right now in front of parallel 45, big trucks are parked in front of there. And sometimes it is tricky to drive in front of the building. With more food vending trucks at these places and at the tap station, there are parking requirements. Is that correct in this?
So there, again, there are no parking requirements in downtown. So for a commercial use, we do not have a commercial park, we do not have a parking requirement in the downtown area. All of the food trucks that are at parallel 45 are on their property. Also any food trucks that would occur at Tab Station as well would be on their property as well.
I was just talking about like people coming to use those. There's no parking requirements for people coming to use those establishments. So we could have potentially 6 or 7 different restaurant or food carts or pizza places or a brewery in a small location, and there's no requirements on having ability to park.
That's right. That's under our current standards. That's how it works.
Greg, can you remind us, some of the food trucks are open. They're not always open, I guess, when your brewery is open. Is that correct?
That will have been earlier, usually, and be open at lunchtime. And then some of them are open, but then are even on an alternating schedule, so they're not all open at the same time, same days.
So the hours don't necessarily match your business hours.
They are always open when we are open. So we would not be open without one of them being open or the pizza parlor being open. But they might be open when we're not.
Sure, they have that option to
Yes.
open longer.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Yes, I got one.
Yeah.
Is it on you all to maintain standards of those trucks, or are they independent on everything, sure that they're in good repair, all that stuff is happening?
I'm gonna let Fred answer the question about who's responsible for auditing it. And then I can talk about contracts that we have with them.
Right.
If that's helpful.
Yeah, so we, with it, so as a permit currently works, we go out and we try and inspect them every year. And so what we look for when we go out and inspect them are things like a grease trap. Does it have a grease trap? We go out with the fire marshal, so does it have the adequate either fire suppression in the hood or the proper extinguishers, that sort of stuff. Also, we double check that it's connected to the water system, correct? That there's a backflow prevention device attached to the wall. So we look at those things from our perspective when we go out and do our annual inspection.
How about the county? They have to
They have
also,
to help
they're
them.
inspected similar to the restaurant.
Exactly.
Councilor?
I'm sorry, one more question. I read your letter and I saw where you asked for no limits on food trucks, but now that you've heard from the Golden Hop and the Chases, would you be okay with a limit of 6?
Would the limits be attached to the locations that are approved?
The
or is it
downtown overlay, the
at
downtown
any-
overlay.
At any point in time?
This is one of the practicalities that we have to consider as we're doing this. So is the limit, would the limit be attached specifically to, would we say, okay, parallel 45 has 5? And then another use has 1, but what happens if that use at that place somehow didn't renew their permit after a year? Would that go away? And so I do think there's sort of the practicality of how are the 6 managed, is a question. If you get your site approved, are those essentially there forever? What happens if a site transitions ownership? Can somebody then get that other site and take it elsewhere? These are just some of the things to sort of consider if a limit is being established.
So the way I was saying it is that if the site gets approved, that gives the city control over how many places food carts can be put, and therefore you can control the number because and then it allows you to respond to situations where if somebody goes under, or if another developer comes in and wants to build a new place with another set of sites, do we want to allow that to happen or not at that time? As opposed to saying, today, we're going to make a decision about how many limits we're going to set on this thing for indefinitely in the future.
I think it's important. I don't mind the limits, and I don't mind having people renew their permits and make sure that they stay on top of that to renew their permits, because it gives our brick and mortar buildings and our downtown businesses some security in knowing how to predict their own future. And that, I think, is important to our established restaurants and businesses, is that they have that security instead of worrying, okay, how much business is going to come. Because I think the Chases said at the last meeting, when they first opened their business, there wasn't any food carts, one. And so now they have to compete with this whole new level of businesses that they didn't anticipate when they first, made the expense of getting this business. And so I think it does add a little level of security to our brick and mortar buildings if we can set a limit that still keeps you in business and the things that you wanted to do, and then have a permit. If you don't renew your permit, then it becomes at risk of being used by somebody else. I mean, that happens in businesses everywhere.
Are the food truck spaces at tap stations or at tap station, do they have the same approval level as the ones at parallel 45?
They do not. Not at this point. They're not at this point.
So when this ordinance comes into play, or the city code comes into play, they potentially could lose the right to have spots if they aren't certified.
That's correct. Yeah, depending on the number that you folks established, yes, that's absolutely correct.
So let's do a final call. Do we have any specific questions? We're starting to move beyond questions that Greg at Parallel 45 can answer.
I look pretty up, right?
Do you have any further questions specific to Parallel 45? Okay, thank you. Now, do you have any remaining questions? That's a great decision. Yes.
Councilor Mark Willis brought up at the last public hearing about this, that we're looking at very different audiences for brick and mortar versus vending. I don't go to the vending businesses at Parallel 45 unless I'm at Parallel 45 and I'm drinking. If I do drink. If I want to go to a sit down restaurant and spend time with family or friends, I go to a brick and mortar building. So I'm kind of torn here regarding the level of competition between the types of businesses.
Mayor, just to counter that, we have a limited pool of people in our communities. And so when we decide that, it's gonna attract different audiences, well, if it's not an option for me, I'm gonna go to the brick and mortar and, get an order to go. That's my option too. But when we really do have such a small community, the people who go out to restaurants are essential to keep our downtown businesses open. And so I think it is, I agree with Counselor, but I think we need to really uphold our brick and mortar. I think we need to protect those.
Quick question, for clarification. I'm a big fan with the food trucks of making sure that they are adequately connected to grease trap, water, wastewater, all of that. Cause I think that's where we run into some potential environmental problems where people are cutting corners and next thing you know, they're dumping their waste into the landscape planters and we have a mess on our hands. So there is still a process that a food truck, so two-step process. The property owner has to go through this process of making sure there's proper hookups and proper everything, which takes a certain amount of effort. And then the food trucks on top of that are also regulated, so just confirming that there is a standard that we will be holding these property owners to.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Thank you.
So. And I alluded to this a little bit at the last meeting, but I think it bears repeating. I mean, there are certain food items that we don't have brick and mortar businesses that offer it. If I want Hawaiian and if I can't go to the food truck, then I'm gonna go out of town. So now those dollars aren't even being generated here in Independence, cause I've gone to Dallas or Salem and gone to one of their pods over there where they have, 40 different choices, for my family to select from. So I think that it's been, mentioned sort of healthy competition, and variety is something that food trucks also offer. So yeah, it's kind of a cool diversity, and brings in some alternate options that we might not otherwise have if we rely solely on our brick and mortar businesses.
And just to kind of go against that just a tad bit. If you want Hawaiian and we don't have it here locally, I mean, most of these food trucks aren't supporting our local economy as much as the brick and mortar are. They're paying taxes, they have to pay the overhead, they have to pay their employees. It's much more of a, it's gonna benefit our community and the people who live here if we do more brick and mortar than the people who come in and park their truck and then leave in the evenings. So again, I understand some people may not have the appetite for what's being offered, but again, I'm just seeing another local business in the downtown, the chocolate store closing. Makes me sad that we're losing business in the downtown. We really need to do everything we can to promote downtown businesses.
I guess just a clarification, we're not imagining that these are mobile units that come and go. That would be a separate from any, well, actually, we wouldn't. We would not be conducive to a food truck just popping up on the sidewalk. Unless it was for, like, say, a specific event, that's what Councilor Morton was saying was a separate process, right? That would not be allowed under our current standards, we're moving forward.
Right, you have to get approved for a site to operate, or you have to get a site approved to then operate a food truck on a site. And you would need to get approval at both, city approval at both steps.
And I guess my further clarification on that, or comment that I have, I'm hesitant of setting a precedent where we might be opening ourselves to then, do we start regulating or limiting other types of businesses? Do we have brick and mortars that come along and say, hey, we want you to limit the number of businesses that are operating in the downtown? That's my concern that I have with when we start setting some precedents on kind of ratcheting down or limiting the number that's allowed versus a free market. There are only so many spots, and if we put the regulations in place that monitor that or manage that, and they have to meet those expectations, does that take care of itself?
I think the new standards will probably drive the number of pods down. If we put the onus on the property owner, that's like we said, that's a lot of effort for somebody to take on. And maybe that will be enough of a disincentive, not that I wanna disincentivize business, but that would be maybe an incentive to keep the number down. we're only talking about the downtown overlay, but are we gonna be talking about Central Plaza next? I mean, people can put a business up in Central Plaza if they need to. I mean, it doesn't have to be downtown. I know there's been several in Central Plaza over the past few years, and they've been fairly well patronized. So I'm not necessarily in favor of a number. I'm more in favor of let's put this standard in place and make sure that the property owners do what they need to do.
Any further questions of staff?
I just got a comment.
We're not taking public comment right now, sorry.
What's that?
You have to sign up for the public comment.
I'm just saying, it's a different trucks that different classifications, some of them have grease traps in them, and some of them are just fresh foods, some of them are cooked foods, so some of them can go anywhere they need.
And again, a lot of those are regulated by, the county has a process as well, for different food classification and food trucks. I think from our standpoint, like, again, I'm in favor of making sure that any food trucks are operating in a responsible manner and making sure that the water, the wastewater, the grease traps and all of it are taken care of, which frankly, between the city's annual inspection and then the county, comes and inspects as well for the health part. What's your source?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Evander, have you looked at communities like size of ours, and if they have certain regulations limiting food trucks in downtown or business overlays? Is there something we can look from like size neighborhoods? I'm sympathetic to the businesses' concerns that have made investments in the community, but I also want to encourage innovation and different options for our community. So have we looked at what other communities our size are doing?
You know I have in the past.
Okay.
But it's been a while since I've re-looked at what other communities are doing, so I apologize, I could look into that.
I would say it's tough because you wanna honor the commitment brick and mortar stores are making to our community. Not only are they making that commitment to stay here in the community, oftentimes they're giving back to our community. The Chases are great examples of people who give back to our community in a lot of different ways. But there's also, if done right, there's room for other options at Passive Foot. And we can make the same argument of before the Chases moved here, Reno was here, and Chases moved in, and that changed what the market looked like for Reno. And before Reno, it was something else, right? So it's tough. And I don't know what the answer is, but it seems like there should be a balance there to make sure that we're protecting our brick and mortars who have made a big commitment to our community. So I am sympathetic to what Chases are saying, also Road and City, and trying to find them.
And if I can add to the balance. We've been told and heard that for a long time, the downtown businesses are struggling. Some downtown businesses have a window of life of about 18 months where they're just really, really struggling, and some unfortunately don't even make it past that point. The more difficult we make it for our downtown business and even our hotel, which has a restaurant in it, to thrive, it's just gonna make our downtown unsightly. I think we really need to put a fair limit on how many food carts we have in our downtown. I think we can honor what we've committed to parallel 45 and maybe more. That we can't not discuss this in the future, but then if we set a limit to 6 is what the Chases are asking, then they have some foundation, some strength on what they know they can not predict, but kind of help see their future a little bit instead of worrying about how many food trucks are going to come into our community. So I think it's something we can set now and look at again in the future, but it does give a balance to what's here and what's needed, and it still supports the brick and mortar businesses downtown. And I think it's a fair statement to make to limit it to 6.
I agree with Councilor Rhodes that we need to limit the number I will say that I'm leaning towards 7, just because 7 is what is planned at parallel 45, and the 2 that are currently existing at Cap Station. But those would all be subject to the same rules and regulations, and the one thing we may need to establish is if something is operational in downtown right now, they have X number of days to get all the ducks in a row, or they have to stop doing business.
I think we did discuss last time, the concern about if you have a mobile vending unit that is not operational, but just parked, right, some standards that would address the concern around that.
Because we do have that currently not in the downtown overlay, but I'm gonna go way back and show how old I am. I think it's Trails End or Donnie's Tavern, or I think it's Chase Bar and Grill now. There is across the street from there a mobile food park. Drains right to our water system. So, I appreciate Fred taking on these measures to make sure that we have a clean environment and that we're cleaning up after ourselves. I still think we can do it with a limit so that our businesses can still thrive.
Any further questions?
Just to clarify, Mayor, what's in front of us is to approve the new standards, not to assign a number. So we would have to do that separately, correct?
That's a limitation is.
Yeah, there's a limitation on taking part of the news.
So the limitation is not in the standards right now, so what you folks could do is close the public hearing, and then when you make a motion on the council bill, you can essentially direct staff to make the change to add a limit based on this language. This language that I read out to you on page 11. And then I would also remind you to make the small change to the applicability section to read in association with instead of at a community event. Just to based on that comment that you had as well. And then, and I don't know how things, because the council bill would be slightly changed. I mean, can we make that motion with those things and then just essentially change the document for the mayor to sign in the future, or how would you like that to work?
The, long as the motion, as long as the motion is made with changes, then you will go through, we just want to.
Perfect. So it can go through if you folks feel comfortable with those 2 changes.
Any further questions from the hearing? All right, I will now declare the record and hearing closed at 7:13 p.m. All right, moving on to new business.
Right, wake up here, alright, I'm with you, so the new business is essentially the council bill to adopt the thing that you just heard. What we would recommend is that you folks make the motion that's recommended there. I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill 2025-08 in full as the text is contained in the council packet for the first time with the changes to the applicability sections to read E, mobile vendors conducting business in association with a community event or on a temporary street closure, ...
What page are you reading? Sorry.
It's,
I have page 11.
I'm on page 38 right now. Or excuse me, 36. And then also with the limitation on the food truck number in the downtown area, it includes 7. That there's not an example motion, but the language itself is on page 11, at the bottom of page 11.
I don't have page 36.
It's page 34, Counselor, apologies.
Oh, yeah, I have one more comment.
Oh,
I printed
the letter got added.
It's the bottom of the staff,
So-
page 34.
I'm sorry, my packet's different,
I printed it yesterday morning, put that on the.
I'm old school and I require paper, it's my fault.
All right, this is an action item for us prepared to make a motion.
I move to read the proposed ordinance Council Bill 2025-08 in full text as contained in the council packet for the first time, except I would like to amend by adding, what's the
The applicability section to read in association with a community
applicability
event,
section to read in association with
a community event, and the language
the limitations
that limits the number of mobile vending spaces in the downtown overlay zone to 7 licenses. Whatever number you prefer.
limitations, the number of licenses issued for mobile food units to downtown overlay in the city shall issue no more than, so 6, 7, which one are we going? 7, okay, 7 licenses for mobile units to be located within the downtown overlay zone.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilor Roden, a second by Councilor Gilbert. Do we have further questions, comments? Discussion.
Mayor, if we can this get scheduled back in for like a 1-year review, kind of look back to see how it's going. So that we can see if that amount is right. Is that?
Yeah, we assume that's fine.
Yeah, we can look at anything, right, anytime.
I just want that to get built into the schedule.
I was just saying, may I clarify, you don't want to add that to the ordinance?
No,
I just want to informally have it on the agenda in
Yeah.
approximately a year.
Yeah.
We can absolutely do that, thank you, Counselor.
One other question, is there clear language in there about the time limit for making sure that everything is in compliance?
There's not, but we are more than happy to go out and make sure that everybody gets into compliance. And yes,
So the code alone implies enforceability immediately.
absolutely, yes.
And will permits be handled on sort of a first in, first complete? So let's say we have a limit of 7, the idea being 5 at Highway 45, 2 at the tap station. Let's say one of them moves away from parallel 45 and another site gets ready. How is the city going to handle that?
I think we're gonna cross that bridge when we get there with the number 7, I think where we would assume that parallel 45 has 5 for the foreseeable future. And a tap station would have 2. So based on that, if somebody else came into the downtown at this point, we would tell them essentially, we do not have additional space to operate a mobile vending unit in the downtown.
And if I can, I think that would be a perfect thing to look at a 1-year review, or a 2-year review to say, gee, they've got 5 spots, but they only ever use 3, or here we ran into this problem. I think that's a good, let it run for a little bit and see how it works.
Right in the packet, I saw the verbiage of, is not applying to like the Saturday market, for instance. What about the food truck that normally goes to that Saturday market, the taco truck basically doing the breakfast burritos and that?
Yes, so the question was essentially what happens with the food truck at the Saturday market? The tamale truck, they would be allowed to continue there because they're working under the event sponsored authorization to be there in that parking lot. So that's what that applicability section where it exempts out certain things, that is exempted out in the applicability section.
Just one clarification.
Yeah, great question.
Truly is an actual mobile self-contained.
Too bad.
To my knowledge, both of the farmers markets, which could conceivably have something like that, are well managed by the individual operational groups.
Alright, further questions? Yep. With that, roll call please, Laura.
Counselor Source.
Aye.
Counselor Roden.
Aye.
Counselor Colbert.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
I'm a nay.
Counselor Ford.
Aye.
Counselor Ford.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you for everyone who came and provided testimony tonight, not only tonight, but previous nights.
I think I have to read the title of it and then we'll bring it back for the second part of the next. An ordinance amending the standards for mobile vending units and this speaks from code and develop. And then we'll bring back the vote to the next meeting because it wasn't unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Let me
Move on to the next.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Of course, you're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting if you want, but we will not be offended if you go home. I want to do it. And again, thank you everyone for coming today. Next up is the board committee commission appointments. City manager Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. We have been here before each quarter since we put this in place a year ago, so I'm not going to take up time speaking. You know how this works, and I'll let the mayor take it from here. And go forward with the board committee commission.
All right, thank you so much. We have quite a few appointments to make tonight. Again, we have switched to doing a quarterly appointment process to help kind of streamline and our operations on this side. You have before you the open positions as well as the nominations. My recommendation is that we go through these sort of 5 little commission, and that's sort of along the way. If everyone is good with that. Right, now got the right. All right, getting the right report came up here. So first up, we have the budget committee. Currently, we have 3 positions open. We do have 4 applicants. We have Mariah Garrison, Aaron Seiler, Megan Christensen, which are all applying for reappointment, and then we have a new applicant of David Klein. And we'll open it up to comments and people regarding the candidates. Source.
Thank you, Mayor. City Manager West, just so I'm crystal clear. This is the mayor's prerogative and she's asking for feedback, but ultimately this is the mayor's prerogative, correct?
You are correct, Councilor
Okay,
Source.
So we won't be making motions, we'll be making suggestions.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready for a suggestion?
Yes, I have.
I would like to see the 3 reappointments approved.
Further comment?
I would think that, I can't believe I'd say this, but it would be great to maybe see someone different on the committee, maybe we get some new eyes, fresh ears, and someone who still loves the community. Which would be David.
And I am not opposed to that, as you know, that we put this out for the greater community to get applications for this. We do have criteria that is asking for candidates to be willing to participate with an open mind in the community and the deliberations and not drive the process. And unfortunately with David Klein as the candidate, I don't believe that's his intent. And so for that reason, I am recommending that we do the reappointments. So we can go. Do we need to do roll call articles?
No, Councilor, Mayor, it is your decision, and as opposed to recommending, you are actually appointing, am I correct?
So therefore, I I am appointing, Miranda Garrison for reappointment to position 1, Aaron Sauer for reappointment to position 4, and Nathan Christensen for reappointment to position 7. And next up, we have the planning commission. We have 2 open positions. We did do prior to this meeting interviews for the planning commission positions. Corby Chappelle is applying for reappointment to position 6. Liz Wolver pulled her application. And then we also heard from John Southgate, who is a new applicant. So again, we have 2 positions that are open. I felt like we had 2 strong candidates and would make a recommendation.
Yeah, as someone who's been on the planning commission, like a number of us have, but I really appreciated Corby's leadership over the years. I'm really glad we're getting something new as well, and I think John will bring a lot of experience and fresh perspective to Councilor Roden's points on a really important committee for our community. Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question of clarification. Are these the people that everybody who's applied, or is this just the people you've brought?
No, these are everybody, all the applications that we
Thank you.
that we collected. So with that, for planning commission, I will be appointing Corby Chappelle for reappointment to position 6. And John Southgate, looks like he would be getting appointed to position 4. Right, Heritage Museum Board, again, we have, I do believe that. Yes, thank you, double checking there, we have 3 openings. We have position 2, 5, and 6 that are open, we do have 3 applicants. We have 2 that are reapplying, Vicky McCubbin applying for position 2, Joe Martinez reapplying for position 5, and then Linda Layton is a new applicant, and she is applying to fill a new term appointment. She would be applying for position 6, and my recommendation is that we fill those positions being candidates. All right, so I'm appointing Vicky McCubbin for reappointment to position 2, Joe Martinez to reappointment to positions 5, and Linda Layton will be appointed to position 6. Historic preservation, we do need to make a decision here. There is a typo. We have 3 openings, positions 1, 4, and 7. We do have 4 applicants, 2 people, Liz Boisvert, who is applying for reappointment, Willis Pullman, also applying for reappointment, and then we have 2 new applicants, Allison Pratt and Kevin Kreiger. Happy to take questions, recommendations, comments.
I would certainly like to see the 2 that are reappointments be reappointed. I don't know the other 2 people well enough, so I would defer to someone else who has knowledge.
Just reading over their applications, I would prefer one over the other, but if I make that suggestion, I'm sure it wouldn't go that way, so I'm gonna keep my opinion to myself and hope, cross my fingers, 50-50 works.
I would encourage you to provide community their comments, but there's the right not to, yes, you need to choose. We have further comment, further questions, I would love to hear from people on this.
I personally know Kevin Kreiger. I know that he's a upstanding gentleman in our community. Him and his wife have done a lot. I know that they purchased the Victor house there, and they've done a lot of stuff to kind of bring that up to speed, and they've got a bed and breakfast that they're running there. They're very involved and just looking to get more involved in the community, and so I support it.
Any further input? People?
I do want to thank Councilor Walker for sharing that input, because I do not have to know these folks, so I appreciate the insight.
All right, with that, I am making a recommendation. Sorry, flipping back and forth here between different things, to reappoint Liz Fuller in position 7, reappoint Willis Holman in position 1, and recommending Kevin Kreger for that would be position 7. Yes.
Clarification, appointing Kevin Kreger, correct?
That was my job.
Appointing
I don't
Kevin
wanna say
Kreger,
his name.
correct? Thank you.
All right, for the library board, we just have the one opening, position 7, we have one applicant, is a new applicant, Marcia Johnson. Unless anyone sees any concern about appointing her.
New blood is good.
Yes, I know, I'm happy to see new applicants, and so, again, appointing, Marcia Johnson for position 7 for the Independence Library Board. And then on the Parks Board, we do have 3 open positions. We have one reappointment, Erin McIntosh, who has been obviously currently serving in position 4, and I have no hesitation to run against her for reappointment. And then the final one, Traffic Safety Commission. One opening as follows, position 2, we have one applicant, new applicant. Nobody has any concerns, comments, I am recommending that we appoint. I believe her name is Naomi, yes, Naomi Vega, to that position. All right, we still do have 2 Parks Board positions open, so recommending urging people to apply, we will come back in the next quarter to try to fill those positions.
Mayor, can I add something to that?
Yes.
Our next Parks Mission meeting has been canceled because we don't have a quorum, so really would great to get some people on to the Parks Commission and get that livened up. I appreciate that.
All right, moving on to the next agenda item. Item 8.3, Council Bill 202602, appointments granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise. City Manager West.
Thank you, Mayor. A little bit of housekeeping before I begin. We received additional information, which is the contact information for WAMRAP. That's page 168. You received a loose leaf at your desk. You will just want to insert that loose leaf instead of page 168, and we will adjust that on the document instead. So with that little bit of housekeeping, I think you're all familiar with franchise agreements. The city has a number of rights of ways throughout the city. In order to utilize those rights of way, we do request a franchise agreement. The franchise agreement provides some control over who uses the rights of way. It provides an income to the city, and we work through this process as we do with every other franchise fee. So what you'll see is very similar to what we've done for everything else. Just a few things on this one. We did negotiate a term of 5 years with the ability to renew for up to 1 additional 5-year period. We did clarify the expectations by the city for the use of the city's right of way. And as we do with every franchise agreement, we requested a 7% franchise fee on the gross revenue earned to be paid to the city on a monthly basis. Now, this is a little bit unique in that it is serving Central School District only. And Superintendent Kivista and her staff are here, and I'm gonna invite them to the podium because I'm not even gonna try and explain this technically. I'm gonna let them do that. And thank you for sticking with us this late meeting.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and thank you to the City of Independence staff. My name is Dr. Jennifer Kivista. I serve as the superintendent. With me tonight is also our technology director, Matthew Shirley, and we have a few points we just want to help clarify of this process. So during the 2024-25 school year, Central School District applied for an E-rate Category 1 grant. This is a federal program that provides significant discounts on crucial telecommunication, internet apps access, and special construction services for network builds. E-rate grants are funded by the FCC to bridge the digital divide, making technology affordable for all students regardless of the district's wealth by calculating discounts based on poverty level and location, for example, in rural communities. An RFP process took place last year and WANRAC received that bid. They have extensive experience in telecommunication industry with a history of successful completion at large and complex fiber optic construction projects for school districts.
This project allows Central School District to acquire a brand new private fiber network for the district. This private fiber network is 100% dedicated to the district. Only students and staff will be on our network. It carries only our data and applications used within the district. With no other customers on the network, it is both more secure and more reliable than traditional carriers. It also gives us flexibility if our bandwidth needs to increase, so will the speed of our wide area network.
The E-rate Category 1 grant was approved by the state and covers 90% of our costs. Plus, the district received an additional 5% matching grant from the state of Oregon for the project. So 95% of this project is paid for via the grants, those grant processes. The goal of this grant is to ensure that Central School District can offer a robust digital learning opportunities. Part of the project build involves permitting. Again, we're doing that with that partner through WANRAC, and the district in conjunction with WANRAC has a project plan and implementation. We're required to be done with the building by the end of this school year. Part of our partnership involves that permitting team and working with entities such as the City of Independence. We are also doing the same thing over in Monmouth. And again, this is to procure agreements and all permits. Those permits could include, but are not limited to, utility pole agreements, franchise agreements, railroad crossings, general city permits that are going to be required in those agreements. And again, that's the reason we are here in front of you tonight. So we are asking the Independence City Council to vote yes on the franchise agreement between the City of Independence and WANRAC. This will continue to allow the school district to modernize our infrastructure in support of our strategic plan, goal of student growth and achievement, and staff leadership and continuous improvement.
May I ask a question? I'm speaking to the IT director. You saying it's secure because it's a closed network?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Is there a cybersecurity component to this? Because didn't you guys have a breach not too long ago or an incursion? Okay.
We've since then added many layers into it, but yeah, just having, by the sheer fact that it's private, it is more secure.
Has Mr. Kistler been working with them?
I don't believe that IT Director Kistler has worked with you since the breach, am I correct?
Correct.
Who's your current provider?
MyNet. And we'll still have a partnership with MyNet. This is just to build the infrastructure. So there are still going to be pieces in place with our partnership with MyNet.
Does the partnership maintain itself at 100% of what it used to be?
A little bit different because there's gonna be some things that we will do with WANRAC for 5 years, but there's still gonna be that partnership with MyNet, because again, MyNet owns the fiber. We have to still get the fiber, and now we will have our own line of fiber, so that will still be the partnership with MyNet.
Would you be considered the largest business to MyNet, or is that something that the city would ask? The University?
I don't have that information,
I don't know.
that's a MyNet question.
Has MyNet heard this proposal and have any concerns?
Superintendent Kusta, I believe you've been working with MyNet.
So this was an open RFP process, anyone could apply, and WANRAC is the one that applied. I'll just phrase it that way.
Any further questions? This is an action
Yes,
item.
I move to read the proposed ordinance. Council Bill 2026-02 in full as the text is contained in the council packet for the first time.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Counselor Warren, second by Counselor Gore. Can we do a roll call, please? For further discussion.
Yeah, I would just like to just say one thing. I am really happy that Central is gonna have this opportunity to have a closed and more secure structure. I am disappointed that MyNet did not compete for this. It sounds like that's what you're saying, they did not compete. So I'm disappointed in that, it could have been very lucrative for them to do that. But I still support Central.
Mayor,
Yes.
as a former employee of MyNet, I went in and after I saw this in the council packet and I let city manager know I was going to do this. I went in and talked to the general manager of MyNet. They are working with this organization. And they approve of this, so it's not a case of not applying for it. It's still going to cost something. But this will make the whole network for Central School District more efficient, the same way that Western is efficient right now, even though MyNet has inroads into Western. They co-locate the building right in MyNet, and so they receive a charge or a fee for this.
It just sounds different. It just sounds
Yeah,
like
it is.
it sounds like one person or one group chose not to compete for this effort, even though they still may be getting something small. It would have been nice.
Superintendent stated, Wine Rack has, Land Rack, sorry. Wine Rack, which one has expertise in school districts?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
has a history of that across the nation, yes.
So I think without hearing MyNet side of the story, we can assume that they have legitimate reasons for why they chose to partner on this versus take the lead on.
I think MyNet should have been those who work to us though. I mean, if we're supporting MyNet and their business, then they should have at least explained to us why they chose not to fight for this.
Any further questions, comments?
Just that MyNet has about 23 employees. And they are focused right now on building out into Falls City and farther into Dallas.
Well, I'm focused on them paying their debt back to the city of Independence and people.
And they are.
They have been meeting one, so. Roll call please.
Councilor Source.
Aye.
Councilor Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilor Wahlberg.
Aye.
Councilor Martin Willis.
I,
Councilor Norton.
Aye.
Councilor Ford.
Aye. Thank you, motion passes and I appreciate you coming in.
We appreciate you all, thank you for the support. Thank you very much.
And oh,
There's more.
there's one. Wait a second.
An ordinance granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise to Land Rack LLC. I think you guys sit down. They just have to pass the order.
Yes, yeah.
So it is an ordinance that has three parts, and so it's unanimous on the first.
I move to read the proposed ordinance Council Bill 2026-02 for the second time by title only.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Bowden, second by Councilor Mulder, further comments? Roll call please.
Councilor Ford.
Aye.
Councilor Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Martin Willis.
I,
Councilor Wahlberg.
Aye.
Councilor Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilor Source.
Aye.
And it's an ordinance granting a non-exclusive telecommunications franchise to Land Rack LLC. Ready, Councilor Sharon?
I move to adopt the proposed ordinance, Council Bill 2026-02.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Martin, Willis, and a second by Councilor Ford, roll call for further discussion. Roll call please, Mark.
Councilor Source.
Aye.
Councilor Roden. Aye. Councilor Wahlberg.
Aye.
Councilor Martin Willis.
I,
Councilor Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Ford.
Aye. Now I'm officially passes.
I think Land Rack is a good
It
name.
does officially
I
pass.
see.
Thank you. And I wanna thank Superintendent for this day and your staff again for coming. I appreciate it. And you do not have to stay.
Yes.
And let me just say, it was assigned to ordinance number 1631.
All right, the 8.4.
I think that's me.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm gonna be fairly brief, because I think the staff report speaks for itself on this item. About a year ago, council authorized a $7.5 million line of credit from a bank to begin design work for the water treatment plant, the drinking water treatment plant. This is basically because we needed to start this project moving. But you know, we continue to look for grants and better ways to save money on this project. And we were able to secure a Business Oregon Special Public Works Fund loan for the design work. And so as the staff report outlines, This loan, it's $7.1 million. It's because we actually got a close to a $500,000 grant from the Economic Development Administration for the very beginning design work. So we don't need quite as much as the line of credit. This Special Public Works Fund loan has benefit of a significantly better interest rate. We've gone from 6 3/4% down to 2.91, which would be a significant savings for city ratepayers. It's also a little bit longer term. The line of credit was for was for 5 years, and this new SPWF loan would be for 7. Kind of as the SPWF loan, in some ways will still function similar to a line of credit where we will essentially get reimbursed from this loan as we go in terms of sending in invoices, pulling out money. So if we get to the end of this design process and we only spent $6.5 million, that's what the loan's gonna be. We're not taking out a $7.1 million loan unless we actually spend that money. And then it also does not actually start accruing interest for 3 years or until the project is complete, whichever is sooner. And so that is also nice to be able to kind of have that leeway as we're doing this work. So with that said, we would like to, council does need to approve a resolution to accept this loan so we can move forward with that. And we would basically replace the line of credit that we currently have with this new loan. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Irving, just to get this out of the way, this does not affect the general fund, correct?
Correct, no, this is all water fund money.
Can you, I know, I'm sure it's a savings, but do you know exactly how much the savings is in a 7-year loan at 2.91% versus a 5-year loan at 6.75%?
I can tell you that I just worked out the math.
Thank you.
It's a savings of $272,640.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, further questions? No, it's an action item.
I move to approve proposed resolution 26-1644, authorizing borrowing up to $7,100,000 for design of the new water treatment plant.
Second.
We have a motion by Counselor Corr, second by Counselor Morton. Any further discussion? Go to roll call, please.
Counselor Corr.
Aye.
Counselor Martin.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
Aye.
Counselor Boisvert.
Aye.
Counselor Roden. Aye. Counselor Source.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We only need to do that once, right?
That was the one.
Very good. All right, we are moving along. We need to appoint a city budget officer. I'm gonna appoint it over to Ms. Kim.
Thank you. Yes, before you, we have a resolution for appointing the budget officer, myself as finance director, in preparation for budget season that we're already getting a jump on this year. We also have included a budget calendar for your review. This is the same format that we used last year. We had allocated time to have 6 budget committee meetings altogether, and of course, room for more if there is a need. So this will be an action item. If anyone has any questions, it should be the same as last year.
Any questions? No, we have a action item.
I move that the board appoint Amanda Carey, Finance Director, as Budget Officer for the city's 2026-27 budget cycle and adopt the budget calendar as presented.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilor Martin Willis and a second by Councilor Boisvert. Further discussion? Not, roll call please.
Counselor Source.
Aye.
Counselor Roden.
Aye.
Counselor Boisvert.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
Aye.
Counselor Morton.
Aye.
Counselor Corr.
Can we try a different font besides Comic Sans? This has bothered me for years. Aye.
Absolutely.
Color commentary going from
Sorry.
I'm moving towards acronyms, okay? It's very bright too.
The colors are fine, it's the Comic Sans that drives me crazy. Not professional.
Do you not take it serious?
I don't take it,
Very cool.
All right, so we're moving right along. Next up, we do have our budget amendment and I guess this is awesome.
Yes, we have budget adjustment that we need to do tonight. We have some significant equipment repairs that have come up, and we are going to need to appropriate some contingency funds for spending to complete those repairs of the Vector truck and the pump station. Vector truck, I can't speak to it very well. If you have any questions, Director Fisher is here to provide any explanation.
Questions of staff?
What is the Vector truck?
So we use the Vector truck to clean out catch basins and clean out storm mains and sewer lines. And it's a piece of equipment that was purchased before I arrived here. It was purchased used. I think it was from Salt Lake City. We take it in regularly to have preventative maintenance done to it. But the location that it came from was a very salty environment. They love using salt on that other side of the hill. Salt corrodes things, and when they got into it, they found a whole bunch of pieces of the equipment that were basically falling apart. So this was unanticipated, which is why we're doing the transfer resolution to get the truck back in operation, because we have more work out there to do.
I have one more question, sorry. Is it, I don't know the cost of these things, is it a worthwhile thing to repair, or how much does it cost to replace?
I just heard from my operations manager a couple of weeks ago, brand new one's roughly about $850,000.
And to fix this one with guarantee?
Fix this one is about 50.
Thank you.
Further questions? Some action item?
I move that council approve resolution 26-1645 to amend the fiscal year 25-26 adopted budget in accordance with the noted recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Morton, Councilor Morton, and a second by Councilor Core. And any further discussion?
Yeah, as much as I hate to spend more money at this time, I think if we didn't spend the money, we could be liable for a lot bigger issues on our streets and in our storm drains. And so for those reasons, I'm supporting.
Thank you. Further comments? Roll call please.
Councilor Ford.
Aye.
Councilor Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Martin Willis.
Aye.
Councilor Palmer.
Aye.
Councilor Roden.
Aye.
Councilor Source.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. And moving on to item 8.7, the transportation. Sewer, water, STC, and CIP modification for recommendations. Mr. Fisher.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Last summer, we talked not only to you all, but also to Home Builders Association to look at some of the projects that we currently had in the CIP, and that we would relook at SDCs once grants that we were pursuing at that time came into place. I wasn't willing to do any adjustments to the SDCs until essentially I had a guarantee from the state and federal government on the grants that we were awarded. I had the cash in hand because it can get taken away. So we now gotten past that. We have the money locked in. And so the SDC modifications reduces the overall burden of the SDCs, basically the offset from the grants. And there were some other projects in there that we looked at related to projects on other than our jurisdiction. For example, the bridge out here, that's not our jurisdictional bridge. That is a bridge owned, operated, and maintained by Polk and Marion County. And Marion County is the lead agency on the maintenance of that bridge. The other locations had to do with improvements on ODOT intersections, signal timing. That's their responsibility. It's not the city's responsibility. So we removed those. We changed some of the bike lanes. Remove bike lanes from collectors that were down residential streets. It would essentially take away parking as identified in the master plan. We replaced those with Sharrows, the little two chevrons with the bike emblem that can go in the travel lane. It's a significantly reduced cost, doesn't take out parking, and still meets the intent of a bike safe area. We can do that because all of those streets are essentially 25-mile-an-hour streets, which sheriffs would allow them. And some of the other ones are related to, putting the responsibility of improvements on individual properties or development or redevelopment of properties and the city getting out of that business. So overall, between all of those, we were able to significantly reduce the amount of SDCs required to still keep the critical projects.
Do you have any questions? Does that mean we're gonna continually review the SDCs?
They should be reviewed regularly. Anytime Sean magically gets another fantastic grant, and I get it locked in. There's a certain point where we can go back and reduce that further, because the grants do a fantastic job of offsetting both the system development charge needs or any rate needs, whether it be sewer, water, stormwater.
Follow-on question, Mayor. How does the adjustment jive with what the two gentlemen before spoke about in public comment?
So the adjustment, and we also received a letter of support from the Home Builders Association, I think that went out. We talked to them about this when we were going through the SBC process, and they wanted to meet with us, met with me and the city manager and one of their consultants. And specifically looking at the water SDCs, and they came back from that saying, yeah, they're all justified. The only thing we didn't have in place was the grants we received for the water work. And we told them at that time, once we get those grants locked in, then we would go back and reduce the SDC need down. So it's right on par with what we told them would pass.
Again, some quick calculation says that this is a net reduction of $10,271.
Yeah.
Pretty substantial.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask you, when, Mr. Fisher, when you say locked in, that means cash it in, I mean, the money's been.
I've got a piece of paper from them that says that I can come to their house.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't need.
So as I was reading the removal or modifications per trip to make the SDCs lower, I noticed a lot of these said removal of this project does not provide the critical east-west connectivity. It stops a whole bunch of projects that we've already put on the table as necessary in our community. So I've always been concerned with extending 4th Street out. I've been concerned about the bottleneck we have on 7th Street. And I look at these and in some of these, I'm like, okay, I can see us getting rid of this, but some of these are stopping projects that we've been deemed very important. Am I not reading this correctly, or is?
There's 3 of them that come to mind. There's one, it was an east-west connection. I can't remember if it was 7th Street or no, F Street or G Street. Where it actually cuts through a church parcel, would basically divide the property in half. When transportation engineers and planners work on master plans, they like nice grid systems. And sometimes they don't look at necessarily what's on the property, and then they just chop it. The one that cuts through the church property, I got rid of that. The one that kind of meanders through and takes out a bunch of the commercial businesses in the Talmadge area and connects into Gun Club Road, I removed that one. And then the extension of 4th Street down to Mount Fur, I removed that because it cuts through City of Monmouth property through their water treatment plant site and would potentially eliminate their abilities to install wells on that site.
I mean, I see you're bringing up those 3, but then there's dozens and dozens more where we're getting rid of sidewalks, traffic signs, speed limits, signs. We're getting rid of potential bike safety programs that we've had on our, I'm just concerned about all the things we're removing from this project, even though we're getting the grant. I mean, even sewer projects we're taking off the list. And so I think, I hope council read pages 180 through 184 quite completely, because I think we're taking a lot off of this, even though we're getting these grants. We're reducing our SDCs and yet again limiting what we can do in our community.
I would need to know which, in order for me to talk specifically about each individual project and the justification to remove it or modify it, I would need to go down through this list, so if you could give me.
And I think it would be great to do that. I mean, I can even stop, I mean, I can start. The first one with the church property, I understand it cuts through their parking lot, and you did explain that, but the 4th Street extension, that's number 2.
Which project was that?
Project number R3, 4th Street extension, it's on page 180, it's the second one.
Yeah, that is the one that I talked about where it cuts through the city of Monmouth's water treatment plant property. And would remove their ability to put in well sites.
Or even down 7th Street. I mean, there's lots of,
What's the next one?
well, I think it's almost worth talking about every single one of these.
You're
before
talking
we
about
decide to cut some.
and 7, the recommended project installation signal.
Yeah.
Okay, so project R14, Monmouth and 7th Signal. That was one that we brought forward when a developer wanted to develop the south end of 7th Street. That developer has since packed up their tent and left.
Right.
So there's, and from my perspective as your public works director, it's the if they don't have the other connections, like the bridge connection that seems to be moving forward because there's property getting annexed and we're anticipating they're gonna partition that and dedicate the right of way. And then the other work on Mount Burke, if those weren't going forward, the conditions would still be the same, that the developer would be responsible for putting in the signal at 7th and Monmouth Street. But because there's no active development in that portion of town down at the end of 7th Street, and because there's now movement on the Chestnut Bridge connection, which would provide a connection over to 13th and up north, which would be a secondary connection, which the fire department wants for that area. There was no real reason in my mind to leave the 7th and Monmouth on there.
And for clarity, if I may, we talked about Monmouth and 7th and Chestnut Bridge significantly when I first came. Chestnut Bridge has been significantly funded. We have $4.5 million. So Sean and I worked very hard to get about $4.5 million, and we have to thank Representative Evans again, because he made sure that we had money for that. And as we talked about at that time, if Chestnut Bridge can be done, it relieves the pressure on 7th Street. Because we do not have the funding for 7th Street, and we have the funding to move forward on Chestnut, not fully funded, but significantly funded. We have contracts that we're working on with ODOT and Marion County to get that work done. It makes sense to pull 7th Street off and reduce those SDCs as we take a look at, because of the grants and funding for Chestnut. So if that clarifies that, and I think Councilor Source had a question, I apologize, Councilor Source.
So after reading this, I sent an email to our city manager and public works, and they were kind enough to connect with me to give me some clarity, because I had some they reminded me that all of these projects are in the master plan, and it's easy for us to add them back in as funding available. What we have to really understand, and what we heard from our builders, is we have to be really mindful of what's on this list and be really realistic of what opportunities they are available from the federal and state governments right now to leverage those funding to make these possible. I don't think anyone on this council wants to put 100% of these large projects to the backs of our taxpayers or developers. Especially with the challenges that we have right now. So although I have some heartburn about some of the projects being removed, I completely think it's rational and reasonable what the recommendation was. And I do think we should really listen to our public works director around annually or whatever time makes sense to review this, so that we're really mindful of what projects are really targeted and don't have random projects that don't really have a hope of getting funded for the next 5 years on that list, because then we're asking developers to pay in SDC charges projects that don't have a realistic shot of getting developed. And I don't think that's fair to them. So, I hear what you're saying, Councilor Roden, and I agree with you on a lot of these projects. Some of these projects I deeply care. They're just not, it's not realistic to say in the next 5 years, these are gonna be, right? So we should take them off and then have a review. From my perspective. I guess that wasn't his question.
No, I just, we trusted city staff when they said we need to raise our SDCs to this high, and that phase 5 and 6 and possibly 7 would still happen in construction, and it all came to a close. And now we have a builder who came here today and said we need to get our SDCs from 90,000, which he paid for a duplex, and down to a single family home between 28 and 32,000 for SDCs. And this isn't gonna do it, and this isn't, and these projects still need to be done. And so I'm concerned about these things, and just bike safety, street connectivity, emergency exits down 7th Street. I'm concerned about all these things. So that's my.
Mayor, may I ask yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, but the person who came and testified is the same team. It's not the developer, it's actually the realtor from the same team who was planning on building the different sets of Brandy Meadows that pulled out because of the SDCs.
You're correct.
Okay, so it's one group, and I'm not trying to diminish, because I'm sure there's other builders who have similar feelings, so I'm not saying there's not. We don't want to double count, it's the same team that expressed that as 2 different things.
I'd also like to add that while some developers pulled out, we have Southwest Crossing under construction at 67 units. When they came in, it was at the full rate like it is now. And I explained to them what a single family house cost and system development charge before they took on the project. They said, yeah, fine. We're paying that or more up in the Portland area. They're actually under construction, and I'm sure they'll be building houses this summer. Our current rates, as high as they are, didn't affect that.
Well, then why are we reducing these? Why don't we continue to fund these projects? If that's the fact, why don't we continue to fund?
Because we were asked by both the city council and the Home Builders Association to relook at this when the grants came in, and that's what we did.
And for clarity, that was at all of the work sessions that we did and at council. We made a promise to the council and we made a promise to the community and the developers that when we receive large grants, we would reassess this and that we would take a look at the projects and reassess. And that's what we're bringing back to you is we're following through with the promise we made to the community, the council, and developers.
I think our community also wants safe transportation, sidewalks, bike lanes, and that type of thing. So
And I don't think any of that's going away.
it is on page
I
182.
do think that I've been vocal about being in support of us reviewing our STCs. I think an annual suggestion or whatever, some form of kind of looking at these on a more frequent basis. It shouldn't be static. Communities don't stay static. There's a lot of different changing circumstances. The economy right now is not really conducive to a lot of development. So the fact that we have some that is still going, I think is actually promising. I think it's always a balancing act of we have to make sure that we are taking care of our infrastructure needs by charging appropriately for the STCs. And at the same time, as we are able to realize some of those cost savings, whether it's grants, whether it's other funding mechanisms, that we are then able to go back and adjust those as needed. So I like to think of the STCs as something that is static. I don't want to be looking at these every month. I know there's a certain amount of, again, balance there that we do need to be able to provide some predictability to people that are wanting to come in and develop for the community. But I do think it's reasonable that we are taking a look at what, as Councilor Soar said, what is feasible and what we're able to at an appropriate horizon be able to tackle.
Madam Mayor, may I add a little
Yes.
bit? I do think, as someone who is a bicycle and pedestrian fan, I do think with our public works director saying around being really mindful of what the law allows us to do with share roads is important. Here in my neighborhood, there's a random bike path to the side of a residential street. And what that's essentially turned into is a parking lot where people, because the city put that in, there isn't parking on the road for those residential, so they, despite saying, please don't park in the bike lanes, people are parking in the bike lanes. So having these share routes is way more reasonable, rational, gets the same point across of being mindful about bicyclists in a way that's actually gonna be upheld, and followed, without having code enforcement to go out and find people who just wanna have company or have a second car on the side of their property. So I do think that that is a good change, and it's a rational, reasonable, and financially responsible way to do it. So thank you.
Further questions? Let's action item. I will entertain a motion.
You need some on screen.
Oh, sorry. I know, we're getting to that hour.
Yes, we are.
And it's been a while since we've done this. Month.
Okay, I move to modify the CIP as outlined in the Public Works Department memo. What a memo, that was huge. Dated 1/5/2026 and reduce improvement SDCs based on these modifications.
Second.
We have a motion by Council Martin and a second by Council Martin Willis. Any further discussion?
I'm gonna vote no against this because I feel that we're not reducing the SDCs enough to help our local builders, and if we have builders that are willing to bid with the SDCs as high as they are, then we should continue in that level to fund the needed projects on these transportation and vital transportation issues that we have on these pages.
All right, further discussion? Roll call please, Myra.
Councilor Ford. Aye. Councilor Morton.
Aye.
Councilor Martin Willis.
Aye.
Councilor Webber.
Aye.
Councilor Roden.
Opposed.
Councilor Source.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1. Yes, thank you for a very comprehensive report. Happy New Year. We are finally at council announcements.
I have a question. Actually,
Yes.
when is the Main Street River Road Bridge four-way stop gonna be on? I saw that it's happening, but I haven't seen the date.
They're actually gonna start working on it, I think, Thursday. They'll start posting signs and putting up the temporary traffic control change ahead signs out, and the weather is cooperating, so they're gonna try to get as much of, they were originally gonna do paint stripes and then come back later when the weather was better. But the weather's cooperating, so they're gonna try to do as much of the thermoplastic permanent striping as they can during the work.
My second question is, Counselor Source wrote an email to staff and you didn't respond to all of us. And so when I write anything, we respond to all of us. So how come we didn't get a response to this?
Councilor Source did not ask a question. Councilor Source asked for a meeting with the city manager and the public works director to ask questions on the particular matter at hand. So if there's written questions, then I can provide that information to everyone. If it's a meeting, then we take the meeting if we can. You've never asked for a meeting, Counselor. If you do, I would be happy to take that meeting.
I also, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be against public meeting law for us to have a discussion via email as a quorum.
Correct.
So you couldn't do that even if you wanted to. It'd be a violation of state law.
I can give answers to questions. We can't have conversations.
Because
So,
he just said he wrote to you, so that's why I.
Sorry, I wasn't clear. I asked for.
yeah, yes, for me
and
and
then
email.
Final counselor announcement is, can I say that now or is that?
Yes, we're in the notes. Okay, yes.
Steve Mosier has passed, and if you don't know who Steve Mosier is, he has worked as long as I've ever known for this city, for this community, for the library, for the schools, for the fire department, just an outstanding man and leader for our community. his wife works at the library, and my heart has just been broken for his sudden loss of life. And I just want to acknowledge his wife, Leanne, and just what they do for our community. I can't thank them enough, and I'm so sad that he has passed away. And my heart goes out to the family.
I have a couple. First of all, I agree with that Steve was quite the man that helped this community. There was a huge outpouring of support at both the graveside and at the funeral last Saturday. I believe the statement was not funeral, service. About 250 people were there. And it was very, very nice, and support from all the different groups that he had worked with, which filled that place. Now, I have two announcements otherwise. One is that if you haven't gotten your walk for the Walk of Hearts yet, we can probably squeak in one or two more. Even though the deadline has passed, we haven't quite filled the whole street yet, so hurry. And by the way, if you buy both sides of your heart this year, you get to keep them. We don't take them back and recycle them. And the ones that we have left over from last year, they went to Ash Creek Art Center, and they're doing a project with them. And secondly, Love Local is happening again in the month of February. There are about 20 participants and independents where you will be able to get a discount on goods and services.
Where do people sign up for the signs?
Which one?
The heart signs?
The hearts on the Independence Downtown Association website.
Thank you.
I have a quick announcement. Happy to report that we are bringing back a youth entrepreneurship summer camp again this year in July. Dates to be found. I think it's, don't quote me on this, July 20th. It's about 2/3, 3/4 of the way down the month. So we'll be announcing that, but it was a lot of fun, and it's in a partnership with the Ford Family Foundation. So we're excited to bring that. Source.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanna add, my condolences to the whole Miller family. Big shoes to fill, and, you know, when I was at, a few of us were at the service on Saturday. I think I was reminded about how amazing, how one person can really impact change in so many different areas of a community. And I just encourage us as a council, deal with a lot of tough issues, to really just remember what we're centering in our community, and kind of follow Steve there. Regardless of your background, religious belief, all that, he was willing to extend that hand and work together, and that's so. Thank you for the opportunity to say that.
I just want to give the Friends of the Library some kudos. They made a significant donation to the Mosher family. I hope they use it to get out of town and do some bonding and healing. I knew all the work that Steve was involved in. What I didn't know was Meals on Wheels, and I'm like, I don't know how he has time to do all that stuff, but it's amazing. It's gonna take 10 people to fill his shoes.
All right, further announcements?
I just wanted to remind everyone that my wife is doing a coat drive. She does it every year, and all of the coats go to Elderberg Food Bank. So even though the holidays are over, it's still really getting cold outside and people are in need. Little kids, big kids, adults, whatever you have, take that jacket that you got for Christmas, and give me your old one, or give me the one that doesn't fit you, or whatever. But we've got boxes set up at my wife's office for EXP. We've got a box here at the city building, and then one at the grocery outlet. Thanks.
Don't go anywhere because we're not done. We still have the URA. So, we will, you guys name? You're on this name. Hold on, we got break. 5, 3 minutes break. Ready, set, go. This will really only take us 2 minutes, right? Yeah. Let's do it.
I went through it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Are you, can you wait 2 minutes? Is this? Then you can't.
No break.
Okay, wait,
No break.
Okay, the clock is ticking, 2 minutes.
We are now going to call the Urban Renewal Agency meeting to order at 8:19 p.m. Roll call please.
Counselor Source.
Aye.
Counselor
Are
Rowe.
here.
Counselor Bobert.
Here.
Counselor Martin.
Here.
Counselor Morton.
Here.
Counselor Ford.
I'm here.
All here. Mayor's here. Mayor's here.
It is wine time, right? All right, new business. We need to adopt the
Get it up.
budget calendar and appoint the budget officer.
Yes, so because the URA is a separate entity from the city, we do have to appoint the budget officer and adopt the budget calendar separately from the city, although those meetings will be held in conjunction on the same dates. So that's just a real quick action item, unless there are any questions or clarifications.
If you just flip that and say you are a.
Yes.
I move the board appoint Amanda Carey, Finance Director, as the URA officer for the city's 2026-27 budget cycle and adopt the URA calendar as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Roden and a second by Councilor Marvelous.
One point of discussion, is every meeting supposed to be on a Wednesday? Because the 21st of May is not a Wednesday.
I'm not sure if that was the intention. I know we tried to just mimic the last year's.
I'm sure you'll announce it. For
Yes,
the
we
right date,
have to
but just I wanted to
publicize
make-
the-
I was sitting
the
here
dates.
entering in my calendar, I'm like, what, a Thursday?
Oh, yeah.
We will get that clarified
We will,
prior to the announcement.
Yeah,
yes.
so therefore I call for the question.
I think we have a motion.
We already have one on
Yes.
that, so we have a motion second.
Oh, we do, I'm sorry, I
We
called
have
for
further clarification, so.
I call for the vote then.
Yes, we have to vote. Roll call please.
Counselor Ford.
Aye.
Counselor Morton.
Aye.
Counselor Martin Willis.
Aye.
Counselor Bobert.
Aye.
Counselor Rowe. Counselor Source.
Aye.
All right, motion passes and we are now adjourning the meeting at 8:21.
Thank you, council.
Hey, I can still.
This will be great. Thanks.